Have you ever looked at a wedding ring, a family heirloom, or an image of a gold bar in a movie and asked yourself, why gold? Why did this yellow metal, so soft it's almost useless for making tools, become the ultimate symbol of wealth, power, and immortality for 6,000 years of human history? What if I told you that chemically, gold is one of the most boring metals? It doesn't react with almost anything. But it is precisely this boring nature that marks the beginning of an extraordinary story of kings, empires, bloody conquests, and a single overnight decision that reshaped the entire global financial system. The truth behind our obsession with gold is more dramatic than any treasure-hunting movie. In today's video, we will decode the greatest mystery in economics, the journey of gold, from a shiny pebble by a stream to the world's ultimate measure of value. To understand the power of gold, we must return to the Stone Age, around 4000 BC. Back then, our ancestors found small, yellow, shiny nuggets in riverbeds and caves. They weren't hard like flint for making weapons, nor were they useful like wood for building. They were simply beautiful. Initially, gold was only used for decoration, small items that signified status for chieftains or priests. It was beautiful, but not essential. The world at that time operated on direct exchange. A farmer who wanted an axe had to find a blacksmith who needed wheat. This double coincidence of wants problem made trade extremely difficult. People needed something to store value, something that didn't rot like grain, didn't die like cattle, or couldn't be easily seized like land. They needed a form of money. And in that search, gold won a cosmic lottery. It possessed a unique set of properties that no other single element could match. First, it is chemically inert. Gold does not rust or tarnish. A piece of gold buried since Roman times, when unearthed, remains as shiny as the day it was made. It is virtually immortal, a quality that humans have always craved. Second, it is rare, but not too rare. Gold is scarce enough to be valuable, but common enough that a significant amount can be accumulated and circulated in an economy. Platinum is too rare, while copper and silver are far more common. Third, it is easy to work with. Gold is very soft and can be melted down at a relatively low temperature, allowing ancient peoples to easily mint it into coins, bars, or jewelry of standard weights. Fourth, it cannot be destroyed. You can melt down a gold coin, but you cannot destroy the element of gold. The amount of gold in the world is virtually constant, merely changing from one form to another. And finally, it has a unique color and luster. Unlike the grayish-white of silver, copper, or platinum, gold's warm yellow hue is distinctive and unmistakable. It was this perfect combination of properties, immortality, moderate rarity, malleability, indestructibility, and unique beauty that elevated gold from a simple ornament to the leading candidate for humanity's money. The first turning point that transformed gold from a store of value into true money occurred around 550 BC in Lydia, under the reign of King Croesus, a man famous for his wealth. He was the first in the world to order the minting of gold and silver coins of standardized purity and weight, stamped with a royal seal to guarantee their value. This bimetallic monetary system revolutionized trade, turning Lydia into an economic powerhouse. The idea spread quickly. Great empires recognized the power of gold. In Egypt, the pharaohs saw gold not as money, but as the flesh of the gods. They hoarded it in their tombs, most famously in the solid gold mask of Tutankhamun, to ensure their immortality in the afterlife. Gold was a symbol of divine power. The Roman Empire took the use of gold to a new level. They minted the Aureus, a gold coin that circulated throughout their vast empire, from Britain to Syria. Gold financed the mighty legions, built the great colosseums and aqueducts. However, the Romans also demonstrated the dark side of monetary abuse. When emperors needed more money to pay for wars and lavish lifestyles, they began to reduce the gold content in the Aureus, mixing it with cheaper metals. This was the first form of inflation,
leading to a loss of trust and contributing to the empire's fall. The golden age of gold is perhaps best illustrated by an incredible anecdote from the 14th century. Mansa Musa, the emperor of the Mali Empire in West Africa and one of the richest individuals in history, undertook a pilgrimage to Mecca. His entourage consisted of 60,000 men and hundreds of camels, each carrying over 130 kilograms of gold. Along the way, he gave away and spent so much gold in Egypt that the price of gold in Egypt collapsed and took more than a decade to recover. A single man, with his gold, destabilized the economy of an entire nation. That was the ultimate power of gold.
For thousands of years, gold was king. Its power was absolute. The pinnacle of this system was the classical gold standard of the 19th and early 20th centuries, when major currencies like the British pound and the US dollar were committed to being directly convertible into a fixed amount of gold. Gold was the solid anchor for the entire global economy. But anything that reaches a peak can also fall. Gold's fateful moment arrived on a Sunday evening, August 15, 1971. The context was incredibly tense. After World War II, the Bretton Woods system had established a new financial order. The US dollar was pegged to gold at $35 an ounce, and all other currencies were pegged to the dollar. The U.S. pledged to exchange dollars for gold for foreign central banks upon request. But by the late 1960s, the U.S. was overspending on the Vietnam War and domestic social programs, printing a massive amount of dollars not backed by its gold reserves. Other countries, particularly France, began to lose faith and demanded to exchange their dollars for real gold, draining U.S. gold reserves at an alarming rate. The system was on the verge of collapse. In secret, President Richard Nixon convened his top economic advisors at Camp David. They faced an impossible choice: either suffer a humiliating devaluation of the dollar or do the unthinkable. Nixon chose the unthinkable. At 9 p.m. on August 15th, he appeared on national television. In a decisive tone, he announced, "I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold." The word temporarily was merely a euphemism. In a single moment, Nixon unilaterally severed the final link between the world's money and gold, a connection that had existed for millennia. The financial world was stunned. World leaders woke up on Monday morning to find that the entire rules of the game had been changed without their consent. The Nixon Shock had officially killed the gold standard. From that moment on, gold was no longer the foundation of the monetary system. The world had entered a grand and risky experiment, the era of fiat money. So what does Nixon's decision mean for us today? We are living in its consequences every single day. The most direct and significant legacy is that we live in a world of fiat money. The banknote in your wallet has no intrinsic value. It cannot be exchanged for gold or anything else from the government. Its value is based entirely on faith, faith that others will accept it, and faith in the stability of the government that issues it. This gives central banks enormous flexibility in managing the economy, but it also carries the risk of hyperinflation if that faith is lost. Second, the role of gold has profoundly changed. It is no longer the king of the monetary system, but has become a king in exile. Gold is no longer the anchor, but a life raft. During times of economic or political uncertainty, when faith in paper money and governments wanes, investors and even central banks flock to gold as a safe haven. The price of gold often skyrockets during crises like the 2008 financial crisis or the COVID-19 pandemic. It has become a financial insurance policy against chaos. The deepest core lesson from the history of gold is the endless struggle between tangible value and abstract faith. Gold represents a real physical value, independent of any government's promise. Fiat money represents a social contract based on trust. Gold's 6,000-year history has ingrained in the human psyche an almost instinctive belief in its value, a belief that no decree can completely erase. Gold is no longer money, but it remains the ultimate measure of value when all else fails. In summary, gold is not just a precious metal. It is a mirror reflecting human history. Our desire for immortality, our lust for power, our fear of chaos, and our endless search for something solid in an ever-changing world. From Tutankhamun's mask to the Roman Aureus to Nixon's decision, gold has been there, witnessing and shaping our destiny. The story of gold is not over. Today, a new contender has emerged, Bitcoin, often called digital gold. Can a piece of code on a computer with its properties of scarcity and decentralization replace the role of physical gold as a store of value in the 21st century? Or will humanity's 6,000-year obsession with this yellow metal continue to reign supreme? What do you think about the future role of gold? Is it still the ultimate safe haven? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss other fascinating economic stories. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.